Dolph Lundgren says he might return for a new He-Man movie if the costume leaves him less exposed than he was in Masters of the Universe. This story comes to us from J.B. Augustine over at Bounding Into Comics. 1987's Masters of the Universe wouldn't be everyone's first choice for a film that would go on to become an undisputed cult hit. That it was an adaptation of the He-Man toy line, which was popular at the time, is notwithstanding on that count. Nevertheless, the movie managed to develop and maintain a following, aided by its status as a product of the 80s associated with a major IP and one of the most infamous purveyors of low-budget schlock, Canon Films. It also starred Dolph Lundgren in what was arguably his most important role after Ivan Drago in Rocky V. He would later reprise that role in Creed II once legacy sequels, which, much like reboots, became big business. While that's been a boon to the Rocky series, we're still waiting for a Masters of the Universe follow-up of some kind. To date, Lundgren's turn is the only live-action adaptation of He-Man, aside from that beer commercial, I think it was, where He-Man and Skeletor are doing the I Had the Time of My Life dance. I think that was a beer commercial. Anyway, the critical reception and its performance in theaters back then have a lot to do with that. While a sequel was in the works, Mattel pulled the plug as Canon's debts mounted. The back-to-back failures of Masters and Superman 4 ultimately tanked the studio, taking with it the chance of a Spider-Man movie before 2002. The late Captain America, the one starring Matt Salinger and Ronnie Cox, filmmaker Albert Pune, made the best of the situation and gave Jean-Claude Van Damme another movie to hang his hat on with Cyborg. But that's another story. Despite this entire debacle, Lundgren would be willing to stage a comeback in the series after nearly 40 years as a grizzled older He-Man, just under one condition, which he shared with comicbook.com, and that is more clothing. Quote, an older He-Man? I don't know. As long as my costume can be a little more substantial. It was about the size of a stamp, in those days anyway. I think I just have to add a few more layers. Taking the sword and sandal aspect of the picture literally, we imagine the costume department left the towering Swede wearing little more than your average pro wrestler for most of the runtime of the movie, minus the cape he had in a few scenes. He-Man may have the power, but he was never renowned for being a fashionista. His attire was always kept simple back then, and it wasn't until later iterations that layers, such as pants and armor, were added to his overall look. Other than Kevin Smith's Netflix animated show that leaves fans divided, every attempt to remake the Masters of the Universe has failed. Noah Centineo of Black Adam fame was attached for a while, but that Netflix effort eventually went nowhere. Now, MGM Amazon is picking up the sword of power and bringing in some serious help to wield it. The Lost City directors, Aaron and Adam Nee, are rumored to be helming the project with a script by Dave Callahan from Shang-Chi. David Goyer and Matt Holloway of Iron Man are also involved. So look out for a He-Man movie where He-Man has pants, maybe. Who knows? I hope so. I don't know. I think the 21st century can handle a barbarian with pants. What do you think?